Hey, welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and it is actually a comfortable temperature in this room today because Mr. Glenn Beck, unfortunately, is not joining us. But
we're not supposed to clap at that, are we?
No, but we won't tell him. But we are joined once again by Mr. Chad Prather.
Nice.
Yay.
Good to be with you guys.
And Andrew Heaton, of course.
Hello.
Something's off with Andrew Heaton.
Mm-hmm. Less applause.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that. Did you notice that? I got like a golf clap from the boom guy, and that was it.
And I wasn't actually promoting your podcast. I was just
You were just
literally
making an
saying something is
observation about-
off with Andrew Heaton. All right, Stu, what's the top story?
We want to find out what's going on the border, so we go to noted Hispanic Beto O'Rourke.
Chad.
Well, apparently we're back in Mayberry, and Sarah is listening on the party line, and Sarah this time happens to be Mr. Mark Zuckerberg.
All right. And Andrew.
I'm going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and work.
You have to roll the R when you say
Cortez.
There you go. There you go. All right. Obviously, a lot to get into. Before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. For those who don't know, I was in a lot of pain for several years. I was in a really bad car crash, and I had these protruding and herniated discs in my spine, which I'm not sure if any of you have had back problems, but it's a killer. And you literally learn to just live with pain all day. There's just no relief. I tried acupuncture, I tried massage, I tried, just pain relievers. Nothing worked. And I just was like, okay, well, this is just my life now. I would get crabby with people. I mean, it's just amazing the toll that it takes on you.
I still do that, but you're now taking Relief Factor and have less pain.
Yes, that's right. It just turns out I'm just a rude person.
Okay. Imagine what she would be.
I wanted to know if Relief Factor would work on my wife all day long.
Okay, well, maybe it's just her pain. And so Relief Factor deals specifically with inflammation. And sometimes you don't know it, but it's actually the inflammation that's causing your pain. And take Relief Factor, it takes the pain away or at least lessens it dramatically. I've seen a dramatic difference. And right now you can get the 3-week Quick Start Pack for $19.95. 70% of the people who try this Quick Start Pack, Chad, are you listening?
I'm listening.
70% of the people who try this pack buy it again. So that's huge. The odds are that maybe your wife...
I almost want to go out and get hurt just so I can try it.
I mean, we don't recommend that, but you do you. You can go to relieffactor.com now, get that 3-week Quick Start Pack and get out of pain. Stu.
Beto O'Rourke, also known
His name
as
is Robert
Francis O'Rourke, or Bob Frank O'Rourke, who's we like to call him that as well. He was talking about the border. By the way, he's now in second or third place, depending on the poll, as to who's going to be the Democratic nominee, which is amazing for a guy who's
400 contenders.
Yes,
so that's pretty high.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's amazing for someone who's best known for losing, right? Like he's best known for losing an election. But he was out making a speech about the border, and he's very concerned about that. And he gave us some interesting facts when it comes to Donald Trump's border record. Watch.
The number of people dying at the U.S.-Mexico border in some years has grown. And in some years has grown because it's connected to that wall
My wife's convinced
that we have already built that pushes people who are at their most desperate and vulnerable to ever more inhospitable stretches of the Chihuahuan Desert, trying to come here for safety or to join their family or to work a job that they were called to, that they can feed their family with the paycheck from. In the year 1998, 263 human beings died on the U.S. side of the U.S.-Mexico border trying to cross into this country. 2010, 365. The wall in this area was built in 2006, 2007, and 2008. So even though total crossing attempts had decreased, number of deaths went up. Last year, 329, fiscal year 2016, 329. Fiscal year 2017, 294 human beings died. 294 human beings died, 7 of them were children under the age of 15.
Now, of course, we want no one to die. That's all of our goals. We want no one to die from crossing the border or anything else. There's a strange idea, though. First of all, he starts it off with some years it went up. Well, there's only a couple options. There's up or down, or you could have the exact same amount as, I guess, a possibility. But really, yes, some years up is not going to be a huge
Slow down,
shock.
egghead.
I know. I mean, I'll break out the Excel sheet if you need it.
Math degree here.
But it was interesting to see him sort of cherry pick through those years as well. I mean, like, part of he's pointing drawing the picture that the border is a dangerous place, and it is. It's one of the reasons why I think we should discourage people from trying to cross it illegally. It's
or bring their children.
Or bring their children. Like, really bad idea. We have, I think, the numbers. The last couple of years, he mentioned the last couple of years, and this is the part that was shared. We got the whole clip for you because a lot of people were cutting out the 1998 and the mid-2010. But if you go, this is the last couple of years, it was 294 and 329. Again, a drop into the Donald Trump era, right? A significant drop. But if you go back and look at it, I mean, some of the worst years on record for this happening were in the Obama administration, 471 in 2012. Those probably, I guess, the highest year on there, just kind of glancing at the 492 in 2005, I guess, was the highest. The bottom line is this is a relatively consistent number over this period. And of course, this is not because border guards are mean. It's not because border guards are evil. It's because this is all happening because of the way that they're smuggled across the border. Most of these deaths are happening in the back of trucks. They're brutal deaths due to heat. And I think it's a really good argument to say, hey, we really should discourage you from attempting this. Come the legal way. And I'm a fan of making the legal way easier and more sensible. But to act as if building a barrier is going to make more people die on our side of the border seems like kind of a stretch, right? I mean, yes, if the border is, his argument seems to be, if a fence is built, people will go around the fence and they will go to a less populated area where they might die in the desert more easily. Well, maybe we should just have the barrier the whole way then. It seems like just making figuring that the end of the wall would be in a hospitable area is not necessarily a wonderful observation. We all know, too, that 40% of illegal immigrants are here on things that are totally unrelated to the border crossing at all. It's, coming in on overstayed visas.
Walls are dangerous. Walls are dangerous. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. I have a wall between my house and my neighbor's house, and literally no one's died yet.
Really?
Not a single person.
Wow.
They keep telling me walls are dangerous. Just build the whole thing right there. But you don't know. I mean, we all know what Mark Twain said about statistics, and this can be skewed any different way. How many people are coming to the border? Maybe that increases the number. So, yeah, I don't know that people really realize, though, and these statistics are coming out more and more today, how much money is going from the U.S. government to Mexico and Central America. Panama really is the only country in Central America that didn't get much money, and they only got like 1.63 million this year. But in prior years, they've been getting an average of 25 million going into that country. There's hundreds of millions of dollars going down there. Why is that number increasing when we're sending continual funding down there to help take care of those people in those governments?
Yeah. That's a great point.
I'm not for building the wall. However, I'll point out, I don't think this is a very good argument in favor of it. So one of the things in the Cruz versus Beto debate that I thought Cruz got a pretty good point on was Beto started talking about the wall, and Cruz pointed out that El Paso, where Beto O'Rourke is from, is across from Juarez, which is an incredibly dangerous, just empirically a very dangerous place. And like me as a guy that's like, I think it's ridiculous to try and build an actual Great Wall of China across the American desert. That's just a waste of money. That's, I think, a giant subsidy to Mexican ladder companies. But that said, though, that particular stretch of wall right there, that does serve a purpose. Having like an open border would be a bad idea as well in that regard. So if I were Beto and I'm on his side about not building the wall, there are much better arguments to make. And like you brought up the 44% of the people that are here illegally just overstayed their visa. It would not be affected by the wall. People are flying in. A lot of people are actually coming down from Canada right now. And we'd have to build a whole nother wall around Canada. So there's lots of good reasons, most of which involve math. But I don't think this is a strong one. What it is emotional. But I don't think it's actually the best argument in favor of it.
Well, it's also, I feel like, insinuating that people shouldn't be responsible for their own actions too. You know what I mean? Like to say that we have to somehow protect people from putting themselves into dangerous situations because they want to cross the border is not that's not necessarily something that we should feel responsible for, I don't think. What do you think, Andrew, resident hippie?
Resident hippie. I think that if you're really worried about that, there's something to be said for having a humanitarian response if people are caught and things like that, right? To making sure that and I don't know what the protocols are here, But if someone's crossing the desert and they're apprehended, saying like, okay, you should make sure they've got water or something like
absolutely.
that. I think that's a very good move to do.
Yeah.
But in terms of saying that, just the wall itself is making us morally culpable for anybody trying to get through, no, I don't. I share your agreement there.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, look at that. Oh, watch out.
I wasn't prepared for this. I'm not sure how to feel. All right, Chad, your top story.
Yeah, well, New York Times came out with a story this morning that tells us something that we're not surprised by, and that is the good buddies of Mark Zuckerberg, all of his friends at all of these other different media moguls, social media, and just online tech giants. Guess what? They've been not only getting our information, our buying habits, the things that we're interested in, but also they're reading our private messages, which we all knew were not so private anyway. Now, I've always had this philosophy of Mark Zuckerberg as someone that I would like to punch and kiss in the mouth at the same time, because in one respect, yes, he has given us an incredible platform to do incredible things, but it is also potentially the downward spiral of Western civilization as we know it. So now we're sitting there and everybody's up in arms. Now, I tend to not get too feisty about this because it is a private platform and they have the right, when you hit that agreement, no one reads the agreements. No. You're just ready to get onto your surfing. You want to see what...
Although, to be fair, if you did read the agreement, you probably wouldn't understand it because it's just all in legalese. I try to read it and I'm like, I have no idea what this is saying.
No chance. No. So here we are. I have always lived with this caution of saying, don't put anything on there you don't want revealed.
But yeah, when I send nude pics, they are tasteful. They're usually involving a costume.
Exactly.
And I'm ready for them to hit
Exactly.
America.
And I'm scared to know what you're dressing up. Not only what you're dressing, but what you're dressing as. So either way.
Answer's Lincoln.
We have matching beards. I'm not going to take that joke too far, Andrew Heaton. Don't you bait me into going there, because I can do it in a heartbeat. But it's a disturbing thing. We're not surprised from it. We're not surprised by it. But that is the world we live in. Big Brother is watching. We knew that, and it is continually coming more and more to light. Of course, there is bias. And of course, there is trending, and there are ways to try to guide those trends. And of course, there's certainly, in my opinion, been a silencing of voices that may be dissenting or even disagreeing from the powers that be.
It's interesting that through this controversy where they've been constantly revealing more and more things that they've been looking at and more ways they've sort of been invasive, the American people don't seem to really care. No. I mean, I was just watching a Macaulay Culkin commercial. Have you seen this thing yet?
No.
They have him reprising his role from Home Alone with the Facebook screen thing. This one's Google, actually. I think it's Google. And it's the new Google screen they have like in your house, and you can talk to it like an Alexa, and it pops up stuff and can turn lights on and does all these things. And it's like, we know these things are happening to us, but if it makes our life 1% easier, we're going to buy them. We are not pushing back at all. It was Charlie Warzel at BuzzFeed who writes about tech stuff, and he called the new Facebook version of this the in-home panopticon, which is that old school jail where you could sit in the middle and watch all the prisoners at once, and it was actually overruled as being cruel and unusual punishment. Right, like you're not allowed to have jails designed like that
19th
anymore.
Century England.
And we're just
paragon of human rights that was 19th century England.
And we're just coming out. We're like, just put that in our house. Yeah, we know. We're going to complain every time there's a new story about them spying on us. But please put yet another screen and another camera in our house to watch us change and dress like Lincoln.
I saw this great cartoon, and it had someone on a phone saying like, I can't talk to you. They're in the 70s. It says, I can't talk to you right now. The government might have wiretapped me. And then it cut to the 21st century, and it says, wiretap. Do you have a pancake recipe? And, I think you're right, because it's like I was never really that bothered by the Facebook thing, because I just went in assuming they were selling my data. I was like, am I paying for this? I'm not. Well, they're probably making money somehow. So I'm guessing it's advertisements. I never went in thinking it was going to be private.
We've given them permission to do it. So you take 1984. Orwell was worried that people were going to stop reading books. Aldous Huxley writes Brave New World, and he is thinking there's going to be so much things coming at us, so much entertainment and things that distract us that we're not going to pay attention to the things that are there. And obviously, that's the world we're living in.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break before we get to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Be back.
Everyone clear their brain from the naked Lincoln imagery.
Eternal sunshine.
Let me get my phone out.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and work, you said.
Yes.
Okay.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I'm not super plugged into social media, but she is, and she put out a message to her followers saying that she was going to take a week for self-care. And so is not going to be active for the week. This is before the being sworn in thing. I have two thoughts on this. One, whether it's her or it's Donald Trump golfing or whatever, I am happy for politicians to take vacations as long as they want. I think that's a great thing. I don't know why we all get mad. Oh, please come back and interfere with the economy. Do it as quick as you can. Fix it. No. Like, go to the Bahamas. I love congressional delegations. Go, just go. That's great. That's terrific. So I was fine with that. I thought that was wonderful. The thing that I read about, I would be very pleased if she were to become a champion of social change the next few years, as opposed to legislative fiat. And so I'm happy with this thing, because the term self-care, I just need to rest up. And I think that's very legitimate. I think in America we work too much, too hard. We're in a slightly different category since we're in media, where I probably wouldn't take time off anyway because it would hurt my business to do that. But I've been in other jobs where I would gladly take a Scottish vacation of 2 months. If you have European friends, they're always blown away.
Yeah.
Where they're you've got 6 days a year. That's it. Did you lose a war?
They always take vacation.
I'm here. I'm just coming over for 2 months, and then I'm going to take my vacation. This is just warm up. I think that's very healthy, actually. In that we, statistically, we work more hours than the Japanese do. They have this reputation for being really hard workers. We work more than they do, and I think when you look at the data, we also have the highest amount of sick days used per year in the United States compared to any other industrialized nation, either because we're all sick because we're working too hard, or we're just lying because there's an actual Laffer curve to the effort you're willing to do.
There's a midpoint there of mixture. I think that is probably
true. There's probably some. If she was going to say and I should say she didn't, to my knowledge, make any grandstanding political statement there. But if she was like, you know what, I think people should take it a little bit easier, I'd be like, hey, I'm in complete agreement with you. And I think the private sector would do well, absent the government, to try that out. Like New Zealand, a couple of companies have tried 4-day work weeks, and they say that they've actually had pretty good results from that. So I think that'd be great. But again, I would prefer that be coming from we, the people, are deciding to do that. I would get a little bit more concerned if it was, also, the government will tell you how to run your business because you're just too stupid and greedy and evil.
Well, did you see her full statement on this? Because I thought it got a little bit ridiculous.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so her whole point, right, was that she needed some self-care because she had been working so hard out on the campaign trail, and throughout her short-lived political career, it had just been too hard for her. What she said after that was that before she decided to run for office, she was able to go to yoga 3 to 4 times a week, and she was able to read and write for leisure, and she was able to make wild rice and salmon for dinner. Oh. And now that she had decided to take on this task,
so she's eating fast food.
She's eating fast food. She's going to sleep in her jeans and makeup, and I'm like, I eat salmon once a year. She is the elite right now, and she's angling herself as being this, I'm a woman of the people, yeah. I'm just like you. And I'm like, I don't have time to go to yoga 4 times a week. I don't have time to read and write for leisure because I'm always working. I'm wearing
a blazer, but I eat Hot Pockets, America. I don't have time
because you spent all the money on the blazers.
I spent all the money on the blazer. It was a terrible decision.
Yeah, but I did think the optics of that was just that's not relatable, I don't think, to the people she's trying to relate to.
Yeah, I think you're. There have been a couple of stories like that have come out where I think she was complaining about how. Well, I think the good one is that there was a coffee shop that went out of business.
Yes.
That she was sad that had happened, and it was because of the raised minimum wage.
Yes.
And that didn't cross, but it was no, that's why. They even said so.
Literally said
they were we can't pay everyone $15 an hour. You're buying $2 coffee. It just doesn't work. And it was so I would love it if she did that. If she's not going to impute those economic lessons, though, all I would say is please take care of yourself. Please take as much time as you can for yourself.
Andrew, I am enjoying self-care right now. Hashtag Abe Lincoln. My hands are visible. Listen to me.
No.
Now, this is a woman who, bless her heart, and I say that in the most southern colloquial way,
of course you do.
Who's been a bartender. And now she has real responsibilities and real things that have. Richard Branson did come out recently and say that he believes that the future of especially American economics and the workforce is going to be 4 days a week. And looking forward to that. Maybe longer hours during those 4 days, but 4 days a week.
I'd do that.
I don't think that people know how to rest anymore. Yeah. And when we are, guess what we're doing?
Yeah.
Right here, we never unplug. I agree with you.
I do think that's part. I mean, the American work ethic is something though I take a lot of pride in. I think and I think the idea that we're not taking 9 weeks of vacation in the summers for like they do in some other European countries, I think is part of the reason why we've been able to succeed in areas where they have failed, right? Yeah, I mean, there's part of that I think is. I mean, look. Her taking a couple of days off, I don't know why that's a story. Like because everything she says is a story for some reason. We care about this, really meaningless congresswoman from New York. I mean, she's really, she hasn't accomplished zilch forever.
She'll never be there for 60. It's going to be 60 years of me going.
Yes.
All right.
Hey,
the definition
is that girl still taking days off?
Just explaining economic definition. No, I think the work ethic's something to be proud about. I would distinguish. I think that there's a difference between working hard for a goal just versus working hard in general, which I think we sometimes get blurred on. I was in, and I'm not purporting that this is in any way something we should economically strive to be, but I was in Albania about 3 years ago. And I was talking to them, and they were like, "Oh, I lived in America for a year. I hated it." And I was like, "Oh, should we fight?" And he's like, "No. It was because he's like you guys work 40 hours a week. Like, when do you see people?" And I'm like, "We see them at night and stuff." And he's like, "No, I want to work 25 hours a week." Now, part of that's because their banking sector is so terrible and corrupt that if you save any money, someone steals it. So there's just literally no point in Albania to working more than 20 hours a week. So I'm not. But it did kind of make me think they do prioritize friendship and family much higher than we do comparatively.
No, she's been on a mental vacation for a long time, so she might as well let her body catch up. And that's mean, I know, but she's entertaining.
She is. She is. All right, back in a minute. Chad, last time you were here, you were doing a show here in Dallas. Are you still on tour?
Still on tour. Okay. Still on tour.
How did the Dallas show go?
We had 3,000 of our closest friends that showed up, so that's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll continue. It's going as long as people buy tickets. I'm going to go. So yeah, we're going to finish. We're off for now. We're going to be in Biloxi, bringing in the new year on the 30th and 31st, and then Biloxi, Mississippi, the exotic locale. And then we're not even skipping a beat. The following week, Salt Lake City, Denver. You can get the tour dates, watchchad.com. We're having fun.
Watchchad.com, and you can follow him on, it's WatchChad on Twitter.
Yeah.
WatchChad. So, Andrew, you're looking at him like, you guys should team up together.
Well, actually, Chad is going to be on my program. We're pre-taping it. But you will be on Monday. Mm-hmm. So you are the last show I'm going to do before Christmas.
He has a hard time finding conservative comedians.
You are.
Can you believe that?
First one I've had.
I mean, where are you looking?
I try and get my foreign policy from my magician friend Brian, and I bring on my comedian friends who are generally comedians are very thoughtful, intelligent people. I've not found a lot of conservative comedians, so this is going to be
It's not a very in vogue thing to be these days. Quite honestly, it's not. Look, I was out and we did a sitcom pitch. I've met with TBS, CBS, ABC, Fox, all these ones, and they sit down, they meet with you, and they're like, okay, let's just pat him on the back.
But at the same time, though, you mentioned the 3,000 people. There's such this under served niche.
People are starving to death for it.
Yeah,
they're starving for it, and that's what we've targeted. We've sold out in Seattle. We've sold out in Portland, Oregon. We've done all across New York. We've been San Jose, places where you would not think. San Diego, 4 straight shows sold out because people are starving for it, and that's 65% of America. In a recent poll, I share that with you later, have said they believe Hollywood is underserving them when it comes to entertainment.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, well, watchchad.com. You can find it there, and we will see you guys in overtime. We've got a story. Stu's got a story. I don't know where you're going to take this, Stu, so I'm very interested. Leaving your kids alone.
Very mysterious.
Yeah.